Hey y'all. I have been so excited to make this video for you because I received this check from the US Treasury for $850. It's a tax refund for 2022. And then a couple of days later, I received this letter, this lovely letter, a statement confirming the amount of the refund. Thank you so much, IRS, for following instructions. I'm so excited to tell you all about the steps that I took to liberate myself from being a taxpayer for 2022. And my intention is to remain not a taxpayer for the rest of my life. So, receiving this check and this communication from the IRS is confirmation for me that the W-8BEN process that I chose to undertake has been successful. And I'm going to show you all about how I did that and why. So, the story goes in 2022, I received lawful compensation that was reported to the IRS via 1099. And it was shortly after depositing those checks into my personal bank account that I learned about lawful money. And you can learn all about lawful money in the free Outer Sovereignty Starter Kit that I'll link in the description to this video. You definitely want to know about redeeming US Treasury notes as lawful money rather than Federal Reserve notes. That is a key way to remain not a taxpayer. But meanwhile, I had already deposited these checks and I had come to the conclusion for myself that I was unwilling to participate in that system any longer. And I was committed to finding my way out of, owing anything. So I did some research because I knew I could use the lawful money strategy going forward, but I had this like unresolved historical piece that needed resolution, right? Also, I had overpaid as an innocent and naive self-employed woman in, I think it was 2019 or 2020. I had overpaid. So I knew that there was this chunk of money sitting in the IRS's account that I was like, grumble, grumble. I wish I hadn't done that. And I'll probably never see it again. And whatever, that's fine. I'm just going to be done. So I went through this W-8BEN process with my 2022 filing to liberate myself from being a taxpayer, but I did not anticipate receiving back that overpayment from an earlier year. However, that is what the check is. So receiving that refund back from an overpayment from a previous year is confirmation to me that the W-8BEN for 2022 was highly effective, because if not, they would have wanted to keep those funds and charge me additionally. So, hallelujah. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay, so the W-8BEN, let's get into this. I'm going to share my screen. W-8BEN, Certificate of Foreign Status of Beneficial Owner for United States Tax Withholding and Reporting for Individuals. So what I did is I actually filled out a 1040, and I will show you how to do that as well. I filled out a 1040 tax return with $0 taxable income. And then I filled this form out and I sent them in together as my 2022 filings in the spring of 2023. Okay, this form is super simple, but if you want to do this strategy, I recommend understanding what you are claiming for yourself. So it says, do not use this form if you are not an individual. So you are just standing as an individual man or woman using this form. It also says, do not use this form if you are a US citizen or other US person, including a resident alien individual. So this is where it's really important to understand jurisdiction. And if you want more information about jurisdiction than what I'm going to share with you right now, I recommend checking out my video, Jurisdictions of Sovereignty, so you can gain a deeper understanding of what I'm talking about here. So you may have heard of becoming a state national. This is like a thing that folks are doing. There's a trend towards becoming a state national, which is essentially informing the federal government that you are not a citizen of the US corporate government, which technically only has jurisdiction over the 10 square miles of Washington, D.C. And then the rest of us have been contracted as merchants through the birth certificate and the social security card to come under the purview of this US corporate government. So essentially, by filling in this form, I claimed that I am not a U.S. citizen. Like I am a living woman of the soil, and technically I'm an American national because I was born on this landmass. I have not filed as a state national because I don't desire to file any more paperwork with the federal government than I absolutely find necessary. And I don't find that necessary as long as I understand my standing as a living woman of the living soil of the planet Earth. And as a woman who was born on this landmass known as Turtle Island or America, or sometimes called the United States, I recognize that I, the woman, Natalie Rose Martin, am not a US citizen under the purview of the corporate US federal government that has jurisdiction in the 10 square miles of Washington, D.C. So by filing this form, this W-8BEN, I am letting the IRS know that I am not beholden to pay income tax. So super simple. So you're just going to fill in your name. And I would write it with the capital first letter and the lowercase rest of the letters, which is the way we write our names as living men and women. The all caps name is related to the corporate entity of merchanthood that is sometimes called the straw man, or that contract with the US corporate federal government. Okay, so then you will write in your address. We'll do and then it's really important to write out the name of the state. And then in the country slot, you'll also write the name of the state, right? So I'm claiming that I live on the land in North Carolina. I do not reside within the purview of the corporate US government, which includes the state abbreviations and zip codes. So if you were to write capital N, capital C, and then a zip code here, that would put you back in the jurisdiction of the corporate government. And we want to stay out of the jurisdiction of the corporate government by using only the state name. So that's all you need here is your name in capitis medius, your address, write out the state name, omit look, we need country of citizenship is also the state. Okay. So we have capitis medius name, country of citizenship is the state where you live, street address, state name written out, the country is the state name, omit the zip code, and then you'll want to put your date of birth. Leave section 2 and section 3 blank. And then, you'll write your name in here again, print your name in here again. Use the current date. And then when you sign it, which I would print this out. So you can either fill this out online in the fillable PDF and then print it out, or you can print it out and then just handwrite in, just as I've done here. When you go to sign it, you want to use your beneficiary signature, which is BY, colon, and then your signature, your autograph, the way you would typically sign something, but you want to use first name, then dash, middle name, colon, last name, comma, beneficiary. So that's it for the W-8BEN. Super freaking simple. Okay, let's look at the 1040. Okay, again, this was super simple. This was like the simplest and easiest tax filing I've ever done. So you'll want to use your name. I would say definitely spell out the middle name and don't just do the middle initial. Spell out your whole name. Use the capital first letter, lowercase after that. You will need to put your social security number in. Again, your street address. And then writing out the whole state name. And the way I did this is I printed the form before I filled it in and I just hand wrote it and I wrote the state name across both of these boxes. No zip code. Okay, so then in the taxable income box, and again, I was handwriting this, I just filled it in with zeros and then drew a horizontal line through all the zeros. And then across this section in blue ink, I wrote exempt, exempt across this whole section. So that's it on the front page. Name, address, no abbreviation for the state, omit the zip code, include your social, write exempt across this whole section, fill the taxable income box in with zeros, and draw a horizontal line through it. On the second page, the only place I filled in was my beneficiary autograph and the date. That's it. So I handwrote here BY colon Natalie dash Rose colon Martin comma beneficiary date. So freaking simple. So that is it, my friends. And like I said, I filed that in the spring of 2023 as a filing for 22. And pretty soon thereafter, I received a letter from the IRS that I honestly just like didn't want to deal with. I just didn't have the capacity to navigate whatever they were asking me to do, which was really not a big deal. I just needed a minute. So it took me a while to get to it, which is why I'm just now receiving this check and just now offering you this report. And apologies that I'm late for tax day this year in 2024, but I know this will serve you well going into the future. So the letter that they sent me was just asking me to confirm that I had filed and that there wasn't an identity theft thing happening. Now, I didn't want to do the process that they had suggested that I do, which is go online and confirm. And I wanted to talk to an IRS agent anyway. So I made an appointment at my local IRS office and I went in to speak with an IRS agent and I told her, this is what's up. They sent me this letter. I did file and she just did it for me. So I didn't have to do the online part. It felt better to me to, be woman to woman and interacting with a woman rather than a computer. So that's why I chose that. And I wanted to ask her some other questions about Form 56, which I had heard was known as a revocation of election. There's a process, a mysterious process called revocation of election, where you undo the contract that you unwittingly got yourself into when you signed your very first W-4. And for me, that I was like 17, I think, or 16 or 17 when I got my first taxable job. And I had no idea that I was engaging myself in this contract to like, therefore would be a taxpayer if I made more than the annual minimum, right? So there is a process called a revocation of election, which I'm still learning about and doing research on. And I had heard Form 56 was a way to forward that process. However, what she informed me of is that if I did the Form 56, which basically says the strawman slash merchant all caps name version of me is dead, and I'm claiming the estate essentially of that dead one, that the whole system will think that I'm dead, which like would be fine with me. And that their forward like Social Security and potential Medicaid or Medicare wouldn't be available. Which again, like I'm not actually counting on Social Security being available when I'm of the age that it could be appropriate to receive it, and I don't desire the conventional medical industrial complex style of care. So those don't feel very important to me. However, I do know someone who filed a W-8BEN 35 years ago, hasn't ever paid taxes, and is receiving Social Security. So if you want that option, I definitely wouldn't file Form 56. And it just didn't feel like quite the right thing for me to do at the moment to pursue Form 56. And then this happened, and I got the evidence returned that the W-8BEN was quite effective. So I feel resolved and complete in my relationship with the IRS at this point. And since I learned about redeeming lawful money, redeeming US Treasury notes rather than Federal Reserve notes, I've been doing that at every turn. And I feel good about that strategy as the way to remain outside of that system. So, having filed a zero taxable income return with the W-8BEN, and henceforward always redeeming and demanding lawful money as US Treasury notes, is my tax-free strategy. As I learn more about the possibilities of revocation of election, I will share with you what I have confirmed. But this I know for sure because I have hard evidence, and I'm celebrating that. And I'm celebrating every move you make towards your own outer sovereignty. And again, if you want to learn more about lawful money and other amazing strategies and tools for creating lawful structure to support your outer sovereignty, grab the free Outer Sovereignty Starter Kit linked in the description. And I will see you next time. Blessings on your way.